When my wife and I got married 4 years ago, we both wanted children. Now, after 4 years of marriage, she changed her mind without ever telling me. We 30M and 28F met when she was a college freshman and I was a sophomore, and we started dating about 2 years after meeting. We really hit it off. She is the most wonderful person I've ever known. We get along great together and have always had a good relationship for the most part. Obviously, like every couple, we have our fights, but we've always been good except for the past few weeks. Children have always been very important to me. I love kids, I'm a huge family person, and I've always wanted to have several, at least 3. She knew that since before we even dated, and I always understood that she wanted to have kids, too. When we started dating, it obviously came up, and she laughed at my enthusiasm for a big family but said it was cute and she wants to have kids, too, in the future. When I began to prepare proposing to her, we obviously had to confirm some stuff, and once again she told me she wants to have kids. I let her know that I want to have kids early, since I really don't want to be an old dad. I want to be able to play with them, have the energy to spend time with them, and look like I'm their dad and not their grandpa. She understood, too. We got engaged, then married, and all this time, when people asked us when the kids were coming, she answered perfectly normally and said maybe sometime soon after the wedding. I'd like to stop just to say that I didn't marry her to have kids, nor do I consider her a baby factory. We dated for a long time and I really genuinely love her. I'm just making sure that you can tell that it was established many times before and during our marriage that we were going to have kids, and that she knew how important this was to me and that she herself told me she considered it important to her, too. After getting married, we promised to wait at least 2 years before having children because we wanted to make sure we had a happy marriage and enough money to properly care for a child. So, we agreed to wait 2 years to settle ourselves together, travel to exotic places, work hard, and set everything up. Plus, we were still young. I was 26 when I married her. I thought 28-29 was a perfectly normal age to start having children. So we waited, at a mutual understanding. Then, when the 2 years passed, I asked her about having kids. She said she was currently going through a really rigorous time at her job because she was close to getting a promotion, but the competition was tight and she really wanted to focus on it without a pregnancy getting in the way. I understood. She eventually got the job, and it was great. Then I asked again, and she said not yet. We moved into a bigger apartment, and she said she wanted to settle in first. I guess, by now, I should have started guessing something was wrong. More time passed, but she insisted I wear a condom and didn't go off birth control. Then, a few months ago, I turned 30. Now I was starting to get worried. I expected to have had at least one child by now. I don't know why I never talked to her about her. We had always been candid about having children together, and I couldn't possibly think of why she would change her mind. All her excuses seemed perfectly reasonable, but now I was getting the inkling that they were just excuses. So we talked about it. I sat her down and told her that I was 30 and I felt I really wanted to have kids before a certain age had passed. We would both be perfect parents, we're happy together, we have a spacious home, both she and I have very high-paying jobs and could be considered wealthy, and her parents live 20 minutes away so they can always help out. That's when she told me she wasn't sure she wanted kids anymore. She said she felt a pregnancy and then giving birth and caring for a baby would take too much away from the career she was building. I was crushed. I told her she doesn't have to quit her job for a child, but she did bring up a point about how much maternity leave would take away from her overall work performance. If she really wanted to continue working, I told her we can both totally afford a nanny for our child to care for him, her while we're working, plus, her parents live so close. But she told me she doesn't want to leave our child with a stranger or her parents. It was an awful night. What hurts the most for me is the fact that she'd felt this way for a while now, and she knew how important children are for me, and she should have told me earlier so we could figure things out with more time. After a lot of thinking, I finally told her something I thought might change her mind. I'd quit my job. I'd stay home and care for the child. She wouldn't have to take a day off work after giving birth. I'd be here 24/7 for it and any other babies we might have. I knew this was what I wanted. A child matters much more to me than my job. Our family income is pretty evenly split between the two of us, but even with her income alone we can still live comfortably. But she just said I wasn't understanding her point. Now, I'm completely lost. Here's someone I thought I knew, and it turns out I really don't know anything about her. I understand her goals and ambitions and respect her, but it's still something that is important to me. It's still something that I refuse to age and live my life without experiencing. I'm feeling older now. I feel like I should have had a child by now and I want one soon. I don't want to be too old when it finally starts happening. I asked her if she ever wanted a child, and she just couldn't answer. Since then, we've barely been speaking. I'm going to try to talk to her again and sort this out, because we need to decide what's going to happen. But I don't know what to say. I want to get someone else's perspective, but so far we haven't told anyone and she doesn't want us to. I just don't know what to do right now.
Relevant comments. Bald Hermit. Her perspective on something has changed. What you need to do is come to terms with what that means for you. If she never wants to get pregnant, do you love her enough to stay with her, or will you eventually resent/regret being married? If you leave her to find someone else, and women aplenty in the world that do want children, or perhaps already have them, could you be happy with that other woman? Aside of that, has adoption come up? Lots of children in miserable situations in the world.
OP. I suppose this really has been the hardest part for me. The woman I love most in the world is in the way of what I want most in the world. It's too hard of a decision to make rashly, but what's hitting the hardest is the fact that I may have to make the decision. I don't know if I have it in me to leave her. She really is the most unique and wonderful person I know. I can find other women who are mothers or want to be mothers, but I can never find someone who thinks and feels and acts the way she does. It's a heavy decision, but it looks like I'll have to start thinking about it. I would like to adopt, but I would also like to have at least one biological child. That being said, she doesn't want to adopt a child. This had come up before we even had this problem. Although she says she greatly admires people who could adopt a child, she doesn't think she could do it herself. I'll bring it up again and see if her views on that have changed, but I don't think so.
Pasta pillow. I mean, you say you don't want her to be a baby factory, but you want her to get knocked up, have your kids, and then go back to work so you can play with the kids. That's kind of the definition of a baby factory. Being a career woman is tough if you want kids. The second you get pregnant, everything you do is watched closely, because as much as you say you'll be right back after maternity leave, so many others have done the same and then just never come back. Why would they continue to promote her if she's just going to keep popping kids out? They'll have to keep hiring temps to cover for her or worry about her performance, what responsibilities they can give her, etc. And that's if she has a good pregnancy. If her pregnancy is tough, she may have to call out of work for morning sickness, plus all the visits to the doctors, which are usually only open Monday to Friday, and if she gets put on bed rest, suddenly her maternity leave is extended. It's easy for you to say, I'll quit my job and take care of the kids, but she's worried about her career. And her being the pregnant one, her career is what is at stake. If you want kids, she may not be the person you can have them with, and you may need to leave her and find someone else.
OP. I understand that. I knew people might think that I only see her as a baby factory, but I don't. I love her and respect her, and I want to have kids with her because I want to share this with her. I want her to be there alongside me raising them. I don't want her to have my kids, I want her to have our kids. That being said, I understand all the points you're making. We had acknowledged them and been clear on them when we married, and if she's changed her mind, then I respect her choices, but part of respecting her choices does not mean I have to throw my biggest life dream. I love her, which is why this is so hard on me. I don't want to leave her, but I'm going to have to start thinking about what has to be done for both of us to be happy, as hard and heartbreaking as it is. As for who works, that doesn't matter to me. In an ideal world, I would work and still have kids. Whatever she would want is fine by me. If she wants to keep working, we can hire a nanny, or I am even willing to stay home if she doesn't want a stranger caring for our kids. If she wants to stay in home and raise them, my salary can support our family fine. But I do understand the toll it would take on her career, and she had acknowledged this both when we were dating and when we were first married. But as you said, the aforementioned point still stands, and it's extremely difficult for me to try to reach a decision on this because it's not as easy as leaving her. I love her, and she is my wife. There's a reason I married her. This is why it's so hard for me to figure out what to do, and why we're going to have to talk about this a lot before reaching any kind of decision. Update. I sat her down and we had a long talk. Basically, she said she was changing her mind about a lot of things and she wasn't sure she wanted to have kids anymore. I let her know that that was getting in the way of the plans we had made together, and she told me she knew that and apologized. So I asked her why she didn't tell me, and she admitted that she was afraid I might be unhappy. If she had told me, I would have understood. We would have talked things through and worked something out. What hurts me most isn't that she changed her mind on something so big, it's that she changed her mind on something so big and didn't tell me about it at all, knowing how important this was to me. After about a month of a lot of talking, we came to a conclusion. There was no getting around the issue. Our relationship was, essentially, over. I still think she's attractive, amazing, intelligent, funny, and one of the most interesting people in the world, which is why I told her that, for the sake of any future relationships, it's best we avoid contact as much as possible. Because we didn't break up over a fight or infidelity but for a rational reason, it would be too easy for us to fall in love again or something and continue the cycle. I can't blame her for anything more than I can blame myself, and she's handled it all very well. We're truly having a velvet divorce, if you could call it that. Splitting everything we've saved together as evenly as we can, selling the apartment and each of us moving somewhere else. All of mine will remain mine, and hers will remain hers. She doesn't want it to be any harder than I do. Both of us have our lawyers, of course, but it's being handled with transparency and fairness as much as we can. And yet it still hurts inside. When we finally agreed to file, I sat down and cried, thinking that I had just pushed away the most wonderful person in my life, the person closest to me and most sincere to me over my life goal. And then the next day I realized she had ceased to be that person to me, not on the day we divorced, but on the day she changed her mind on something that affected both of us and didn't even try to tell me. Our relationship was already dying, since it lacked the trust and communication a step like that required. I think that's what's actually hurting me the most. It won't be easy at all. But at least I've taken the steps necessary, and I think that in a few years' time I'll find someone else, someone to connect with who shares my life goals. And maybe 5, 6, or 10 years from now I'll have children with that person. And in 20 years, those children and the mother of my children will mean so much more to me than anything in the world, and I'll be glad I became a father, because I know that's what I truly want out of life, even more than a great career or a nice apartment or a wealthy wife. I will miss her more than anyone, and maybe in those 20 years I'll still think of her occasionally. She's been great about it, but probably because she's realized the relationship was doomed just as I did. I hope she gets all she wants in life, and I don't mean that sarcastically or cynically. She deserves it. It really hurts and I hate to have to write it, but I figured you all deserve to know, even if it's late. Also, writing this all down is kind of cathartic, in a way.